Good morning, guys. We need to get started. If I can ask everybody to have their seat, please.
Hi, Butch. How are you? You're with the at-large people. See on the far side where Stevens and Spiro are? Yes. You're probably right next to them. All right. I can fix that. Shall I have the waitress bring a plate for you? Shall I have the waitress bring a plate? Hello.
Good morning. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Happy Friday. So today, April 25th, we have a full agenda. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If we could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so our next agenda item is to approve the minutes from February 28th. If I could please have a motion to approve. Very well. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so we will go ahead and put those into record. Chairman's report, so a report from the executive committee that we had. Committees are moving along very well. If you would call to attention, we have a business continuity meeting that is going to take place in June, so be on the lookout for that. And if we could also note that I'm going to, when we do introductions, let Karen tell us what the new name of the committee is. She will address that when she makes her introduction. So that's actually why I'm going first, because I wanted to call that out. And committee members are doing really, really well on their individual committees. We are looking to add maybe some additional committees and task force, so you guys will hear about that in the not too distant future. And we will be making those recommendations and changes, and you'll see those updated. STEM committee is doing wonderful. I think most of you know from the Edison Awards, we had an AI challenge that, in coordination with the Horizon Foundation, Horizon Council, and Career Source, and EDO, we had some winners that were presented on stage, and it went really, really well, and it was great to see the kids be acknowledged. We also, Commissioner Hammond did a proclamation as well, so we had the students back at the county commissioners meeting and acknowledged there as well. So that was pretty exciting. So there's a lot of work going on in the STEM group, but I will let folks make introductions, and we will go ahead and turn it over to Warren.
Good morning, Steve Hennigan, Lee County Port Authority.
Good morning, Robbie Rebsdorf of Edison National Bank, Bank the Islands, representing Industrial Development Authority.
That's a lot. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Jeff Albritton, President here at Florida Southwestern State College. Go Bucks.
Good morning. Gerard Carrington, representing Florida Gulf Coast University. Go Eagles.
Good morning, everyone. Sam Fisher, Chair of the Lee County School Board.
Good morning. I'm Denise Carlin, Superintendent of Schools, and go West.
I'm Rafael Lopez. I'm representing the Village of Estero.
Good morning. Rachel Caduc, Cape Coral City Council.
Good morning. Laura Carr, City Council, Bonita Springs. Good morning, Ben Spence, Vice Chair, Horizon Council.
Matt Repsdorf, Treasurer.
Molly Scott, Secretary.
Guido Minaya, President of the Horizon Foundation.
Gary Tasman, Chairman of the Business Issues Committee.
Good morning, Adam Palmer, Sports Council.
Shelby Balcom, STEM to Career Connections Committee Chair.
Karen Moore, Chair of the newly named Business Resource Committee. Come on, everybody, laugh, clap, we got it. Business Resource Committee.
Good morning, everyone. Alan Canfield, sitting in for Sheriff Carmen Marcino, Lee County Sheriff's Office.
Julie Ramirez, Lee County Medical Society.
Good morning, Jay Johnson, Bubba's Roadhouse, representing the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association.
Good morning, Mike Biskey with B&I Contractors, representing CareerSource Southwest Florida.
Good morning, Dusty Shelton with the Cape Coral Council for Progress.
Jeannie Richards, representing Associated Building Contractors.
Tom Mueller, representing the Chamber of Southwest Florida with Reworld.com, used to be Covance Energy.
Good morning, Randy Chris Commercial Group, representing the Airport Special Management Committee.
Good morning, Mark Bless, Pawnbroker Restaurant Group, representing the Sanibel Captiva Chambers of Commerce.
Robert Goltz, Greater Fort Myers Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, everyone. Jordan Azis with Sarabulb, representing the Estero Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning. Gary Griffin with B&I Contractors, representing the Industrial Development Authority.
Good morning, all. David Otterbridge, UF IFAS Extension, Lee County. Go Gators.
Good morning. Leisha Roy, School District of Lee County, Healthy Living Chair.
Good morning. Ray Sandelli, Member at Large.
Good morning, Christine Sardina, Tri-County Apprenticeship Academy, Member at Large.
Good morning, Joseph Janoshka, Member at Large.
Good morning, Victor Gonzalez, Minnesota Twins, Member at Large.
Mary Gentile, LQ Property Management, Member at Large.
Good morning. Pardon me. Angela Fisher, Junior Achievement Member at Large.
Good morning, Tony Loppe with Sanibel Captiva Beach Resorts, representing the Tourist Development Council.
Buenos dias, everyone. Edie Button, Cashel Strategies Business Coaching and Consulting, representing the Southwest Florida Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, Pam Whitnauer Bratton, Remax Commercial, representing as president of the CCIM Southwest Florida District.
Good morning, Rob Harris, Executive Director of the Southwest Regional Manufacturers Association.
Good morning, Irene Buchanan, Southwest Florida SCORE.
Hi, Denise Vidal with LCEC, Member at Large.
John Wright, Sandcap Bank, Member at Large.
Rick Swank, Gillette and Swank Insurance, Member at Large.
Good morning, Mark Stevens, Stevens Construction, representing Member at Large, I guess. And and Chris and I representing the University of Florida Go Gators.
Go Gators. Chris Spyro and Associates, Large Member.
Tamara Pygott, Lee County Visitor and Convention Bureau.
Dirk Danley, Lee County Economic Development.
Garrett Heiser, Lee County EDO.
Tatum Walker, Lee County Economic Development. Jennifer Rodriguez, EDO. Amanda Kent, Lee County Economic Development.
Bill Johnson Jr., Executive Director, Horizon Foundation.
Laura Schmidt, President of the Southwest Florida Regional Tech Council.
Warren Buckham, Lee County EDO.
All right.
I'm not a member.
Go Eagles. I don't even know if I'm a member, but Chris Wesley, Dean of Local College of Business, Florida Gulf Coast University. Thank you, John.
All right. Thank you and welcome. I will ask Dr. Minaya to come up and give a Horizon Foundation report, please.
All right. Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. All right, let's start with the financials. So our commitment for 2025 that Bill Johnson is
working on is $575,000. We are at $185,000 in commitments for the foundation and about $103,000 paid, so we are on track. A signature event, as you know, that we host as the foundation and as our community, is the Edison Awards. What a remarkable event. So congratulations to Frank Bonafiglia and his team. A pre-event to that was the Latimer Fellows event. And again, it was held at the Urban Community Garden, and we have a local hero, Jason Teeters, who was inducted as one of the Latimer Fellows. Of course, the opening reception at the Edison Home, and Helen mentioned about the phenomenal stuff that our students have done. Top honors went to, and he's considered the godfather of AI, Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, and of course, Dr. Michael Crow, president of the Arizona State University, and they received the Edison Achievement Award. Yesterday, we began planning for the 2025 Industry Appreciation Awards. A save-the-date email will be going out shortly. We're finalizing the award categories, and those announcements will be made in early May. And for our investors, we're also planning a special investor event for August, so Bill Johnson's leading that. So all in all, it's a phenomenal start to a phenomenal year. And my goodness, just one point about the Edison Awards, I think we all know it, it puts us on the world stage. So not only do we have incredible local events that celebrate our businesses, the annual meeting, but this event really puts us on the world stage. So thanks so much, Artie. Thanks, Manager.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Commissioner Hammond is feeling under the weather and not able to join us today, so we will go ahead and move over to Mr. Talmadge.
Thanks, Helen. First of all, I want you all, if you haven't had a chance to talk to Laura Schmidt from the Southwest Florida Technology Council or Rob Harris from the Southwest Florida Manufacturing Alliance, please do. They're newly invigorated, they are growing, and they're doing terrific work on behalf of our manufacturing and technology sector. So, please meet them. They are both members of the council, and we're really enjoying them. I'd like to concede the rest of my time to my colleague Tam Pygott to talk about an issue we're having in Tallahassee with the bed tax. And so, Tam.
So a few days ago, the legislature, and I'm sorry, I have to look up the bill number because I don't have bill numbers memorized. It's House Bill 1221 and House Bill 7033. And what those two bills do, take the tourist development tax and allocate 100% of it to offset ad valorem taxes in each county across Florida. So it would essentially wipe out beach renourishment funding, beach park improvement funding, any maintenance on our stadiums or improvements to our sports facilities, our two spring training sports facilities would be wiped out. And, of course, it would end tourism marketing. So, in addition, every 8 years, the legislation to keep the bed tax would have to go to the voters, of course, but again, 100% of that would be going to offset ad valorem. So, as you can imagine, the tourism-based businesses in Lee County and those of you who do business with the tourism-based businesses in this county should be concerned about this legislation. Example, we partner with Steve and his team at the airport to bring extra flights into the area to do marketing support for those flights. Those things would be completely wiped out. So now you've been informed. You can decide what you want to do.
Also, Helen, I also like to recognize Commissioner David Malika, who's here today and with us this morning. So, Commissioner, he's a terrific friend of the Economic Development Department, so welcome.
Tam, thank you for sharing that with us. And I know that John will help keep us informed, but I'm sure that there's many of us that whatever we can do to help support in any way.
Madam Chair, may I add, in our last meeting, our last executive meeting, Commissioner Hammond pointed out that Ian cost the tourism over $1 billion. So what's going to happen if something like that happens again? So we have no money for safety, security, schools. It just is an absolutely irresponsible move, I believe.
Well, it's further reaching than I think that just on paper, right? And I think that that's the point.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to move us on. Thank you for that. But again, as a committee and as a team, that's something that we really need to closely monitor and be able to support throughout our community. Let's move on to our nonprofit minute. And today we have the, I'm operating two things here, so paper and digital, so bear with me for just a second. So we have Lee County School District Healthy Living collaboration of Feeding Young Minds, local business partnerships with their farm to school program. We have Leisha Roy with us, and she has been a health educator with the School District of Lee County for 32 years and is currently a teacher on assignment for the Healthy Living collaboration. And just so you know, she offered to get y'all in your seats if she needed to. She was going to offer her teacher voice to get y'all moving. Let's see here. She graduated summa cum laude in health science education from the University of Florida. So, go Gators, yep. Where she has inducted into the College of Health and Human Performance Student Hall of Fame. She has been named the Florida Health Teacher of the Year by both the Florida School Health Association in 2018 and Sharp Florida 2008, and was a Golden Apple recipient in 2009. She has consulted in health education with both the FLDOE and the CDC and has advocated for health education through her career. Serves as chair of the School District of Lee County School Health Advisory Committee, and she is a founding member of the Healthy Living Collaboration and has served as chair since its inception. So please welcome Leisha Roy.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me. It's very humbling to be here. I appreciate that very much. It looks like they're going to hook me up on my presentation. I can't believe they keep handing me a microphone. They want me to tell you everything there is to know about school gardens in a very short amount of time, so we're going to do that. Post-COVID, we had a major food insecurity problem with our students. Major problem. Myself being in health education and my team members who are Susie Hassett in environmental ed, Mary Graham in career and technical education, and Amy Carroll in food and nutrition services got this bright idea. We've had school gardens in our county for many years, but how can we make not only some of that produce get into our cafeterias through the farm to school movement, but how can we also make that a living classroom? You know, I don't know about you guys, I always feel better when I play in the dirt. We know we had a lot of things going on post-COVID, so yeah. All right, let's see what I got to do here. This is like complicated. Let's do this. Okay. Actually, if I go to, okay, we're just going to do it like this. Okay, so again, hands-on, real-world experience. Knowing that there are, David's going to fix me, knowing that there are opportunities for industry certifications for our career and technical education students. And again, we're not just trying to promote that nutritional eating. We have kids that do not know where their food comes from. Okay? We have students who, until these gardens started, wouldn't know what a radish or a sweet potato or collard greens or kale, and yes, our kids are eating kale and collard greens and eggplant in our cafeterias, and they are so proud. They are so proud that that is something that they grew that they could provide to their teammates. But again, we're looking at the overall health, the whole child here. Okay, it's not just we don't want a small production company producing the food. I will tell you the other day, I got an email from Fort Myers High School. The produce that showed up, the lettuce, was bad. So I get an email, hey, do you guys happen to have like 40 extra pounds of lettuce from your gardens? We delivered that 3 hours later. So our collaboration has been so fortunate. I see so many people here that I recognize that have been supportive. We have support from Florida Gulf Coast University, UF-IFAS. B&I contractors have done amazing things for us as far as we're working on irrigation for one of our gardens as we speak. But so many supporters from the community. We started out small, worked hard. The Sprouts Healthy Communities Foundation heard about us. They sponsored a garden build at Heights Elementary, and within 6 months they committed $450,000 to our cause over a 3-year period. But we have, across the board, 2 weeks ago, the Women's Legacy Fund awarded us a grant because they see the value of what we're doing. The list is endless as far as our supporters. Collaboratory's been great. They're working with us on designing some things that we can hopefully share with other districts statewide. So currently we have about 75 gardens in the district, 15 of which are farm to school. That's almost double from what we started 4 years ago. Those get a tremendous amount of support from assistant managers for environmental education and school gardens, and they are all getting food into their cafeteria. A couple of other things that happened that we were surprised about. Our industry certifications for our career and technical education programs increased 35%. Our harvest from 1 year to the next increased almost 50%, and we added 5 new gardens this year. I know a couple of other community, like the community cooperative, did a build out on Sanibel. Again, amazing support. Some of the things we kind of knew, but really didn't have the statistics on until now. Dunbar Middle School, which is one of our brand new builds that we put in the fall, the principal there said that they had a 62% reduction in behavior discipline referrals. Now, she said, I can't say that's just because of the garden. She said, but it's kind of funny that it's since the garden went in. One of our teachers out at Harns Marsh Middle School, who is also our Teacher of the Year, she's our garden lead, and she saw a 23% increase in her science scores, and she attributes that for sure to the garden because you've got that hands-on experience. The kids can adjust the variables in the garden and see what happens. So again, we learned a lot. We learned how empowered the students became. You have students who were not excelling in other areas who are just masters and leaders in the garden, the critical thinking skills, their communication between them. Again, we've seen the academic gains, the behavior improvement, overall mental health. The students at Dunbar Middle, we had them do a little video for the Women's Legacy Fund, and they went on and on about how the garden was their safe space. They felt calm. Their stress levels went down. So all of these things, we had a study done, UF-IFAS did a study, they called it ripple effect mapping, and to see all of the various things that we weren't anticipating, but we weren't surprised by. Our goal over the next few years is we are trying to transition some of our current farm-to-school programs that are doing really, really well to be a little more independent, because we have a waiting list of schools that want gardens, and they want to be able to get that food into their school cafeterias. We are working with Collaboratory through a grant that they provided, and we are writing a school garden guide that we would like to be able to share with all other school districts within the state of Florida. We literally were building the plane while we were flying it. That's hard to do. So we wanted to make sure that we are able to provide something to other school districts so that this can occur a little more seamlessly compared to what we're doing. We want to make sure that this is something that is sustainable long term. Again, that's what most of our donors and grantors want from this, is that long-term sustainability. So there's an old saying, tell me something and I'll forget. Teach me and I might remember, but involve me and I learn. Thank you very much.
We will, we're not going to have questions right now, but you're going to stay. And when we open up for questions at the end, that's wonderful. And I am super excited that we were able to show that. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Carlin, and the school district for supporting that. The fact that I just learned recently through a conversation with somebody else that in Lee County, the areas that we have food deserts, and just, being a very, very long-term resident of Lee County, I just don't think about those things. So we are going to be highlighting those type of things and seeing how we as a community can pull together and help in those areas. So, but thank you for that. All right. Well, I'm inspired. I started a garden 3 months ago and had my first harvest of tomatoes and was pretty proud of that, but my goodness. Okay. So this morning we also have, and thank you to the Lee County Economic Development Office staff for putting together today's activities, because we're moving right into another topic that certainly emboldens ag and food systems. And so we would like to go ahead and we have Ron Hamill and Fritz Roka from FGCU on Agribusiness and Food Systems. I'm going to pull up, bear with me here, a bio for Mr. Roka. He is the director of Florida Gulf Coast University Center of Agribusiness. The center opened in 2018, and its first priority was to develop an academic curriculum around agribusiness for FGCU students. Since 2010, more than 40 students have completed at least 6 agribusiness courses and earned the agribusiness minor. Other objectives of the center are to conduct applied research into agribusiness questions and more effectively communicate to the wider Southwest Florida community about how farmers farm. Prior to joining FGCU, he was an associate professor of agriculture economics at the University of Florida Southwest Florida Research and Education Center, in the Immokalee area. 2 programs that stood out during Fritz's tenure at UF were tracking the economic effectiveness of citrus, mechanical harvesting, and developing an HR training program for farm labor supervisors. Fritz is a Maryland native, earning his BS and MS degrees in agriculture economics from the University of Maryland. He piled in higher and deeper when he earned the terminal degree in economics at North Carolina State University, and he has been working in Southwest Florida since 1996. As age happens, I need longer arms. Sorry, didn't bring my glasses. Fritz?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You all did get that acronym right, piled higher and deeper. I hope you all understood that. Thank you very much. Thank you. We want to thank the Horizon Council for inviting us here to present some information about agriculture, especially on the heels of our colleagues in Lee County, about agriculture across Southwest Florida with some emphasis on Lee County. We just completed recently a major study where we interviewed about 30 individuals that were top executives from 24 major agribusiness companies, asking them for their insights on how their businesses are going to evolve in the next 10 to 15 years, maybe 20 years, and more importantly, to step back and look at the agricultural landscape in general to see just how that's moving. So that's been done, and I'm sorry, I had to pull this up here for a second. And so we're happy to share the insights that we learned from these individuals through those various conversations. I got to say, in light of the last presentation, I have no problem with agriculture in the next 25 years because you are teaching the next people that are going to be growing our fruits and vegetables. So thank you very much. So I think that question is already done. So anyway, we are moving on and looking 25 years. It might be good to step back and look 25 years in the past just to see where we come from. For that, we have the National Agricultural Statistics Service. Every 5 years, they do a study, census of agriculture across the country. They compile their data by state and also by individual county. So this is Lee County, acres and ag, and value of farm productions in 6 snapshots by this national survey. You can see from the orange bars, yes, ag acres have gone down, which is a big surprise, I guess, to everyone in this room. But the actual value of the farm gate sales seems to be holding steady. Now, yes, there's inflation. These are nominal numbers, so yes, if you take out the inflation, that might be a little bit different. But still, the value is still holding its own, given the fact that acres has gone down. Now, this is a picture of our neighbor, Henry County, to the east. Just to put a little perspective on Lee versus Henry. Henry's a bigger county, and yes, Henry's a more agriculturally oriented county, but as you can see that Henry County is at least 5 to 6 times larger in terms of land area than Lee County is. But what I want to say is that should not in any way diminish the importance of agriculture in Lee County. I have 2 reasons for that. Number one, there's a lot of folks maybe in this room or some of the restaurant owners that cross the county line to go to the Boneyard in Immokalee or to markets in LaBelle to buy their fruits and vegetables, whether it's for their businesses, their restaurants, or for their personal use. But more importantly, the economic impact that comes from agriculture transcends across the entire region. So a lot of folks live in Lee County but work and provide services for the farming and agricultural enterprises in Hendry, Glades, and Collier counties. So it's an integrated network of business and economic activity. Just to give some more perspective on Lee County, cattle numbers have pretty much stayed relatively the same. And we got acres on vegetables and citrus as well. I was wondering, there's been a slight increase in the vegetable acreage in the last couple of years. I bet it's because of school gardens. We'll see. Anyway, but acres and vegetables seems to be going up a little bit. You see a little disturbing trend in citrus. Just to put a bigger spotlight on that, this is a picture of statewide orange acres across the state of Florida. That's a very disturbing picture. We are losing the signature agricultural crop in Florida. It's still on a license plate, and I hope 25 years from now it's still on a license plate. But this is a serious issue that the citrus industry has been dealing with, certainly for the last 20-plus years. Early in this tenure, it was citrus canker, and maybe a lot of you that live in Lee County had your citrus trees ripped out because you're in the canker quarantine zone of what was going on. That was a pretty tough situation. Our hurricanes in 2003, 2004 eliminated that eradication program. But on the heels of that came citrus greening, HLB, citrus greening, one lung being, whatever you want to call it. And since then, it's been a tough slog from there. Now, we can say that greening has been the major contributing factor to that, but you add in a few hurricanes, like Miss Irma in 2017, Mr. Ian in 2022, and then more recently, Wilt Milton in 2024, have accentuated the decline of trees that have already been stressed by the disease and have totally taken them out. So the picture that you see on the lower left-hand corner is a tree infected with greening, but it was impacted by Ian. So the combination of those things have been pretty devastating. I personally want to convey my sincere belief that citrus will recover. There's too many really talented people involved in the citrus industry, both from the research side, but also from the production side. People still with boots on the ground trying to make it work. The combination of that financial and intellectual human capital talent, I think we'll see a turnaround in the industry. Will it get back to its 200 million boxes that we saw in the early 2000s? Probably not, but still it's going to revive into a very viable business than what it is now. So, and yes, it's a little bias in that opinion, but hopefully you'll accept it. So agriculture is going to be with us for 25 years. I think that's without a doubt going to be a true statement. The more important question, will agriculture have the same economic impact that it currently does? Right now we can say with confidence that agriculture consumes or is managed over a third of the acres in Southwest Florida. The 5-county region, Southwest Florida, a third of that acres is in agriculture. About $1 billion is generated from farm gate sales. That's value of calves, buckets of tomato or cartons of tomatoes, boxes of citrus, tons of sugarcane. That's the value that leaves the farm. It's about $1 billion. When you add the economic impact, the indirect and induced impacts and all that, it gets to be about $2 billion. What's important is that this $2 billion has been consistent year over year. Tourism goes up and down, construction goes up and down, but $2 billion you can count on from agriculture year over year. So the question is, will that $2 billion still be with us, hopefully in inflation-adjusted terms, in 25 years? That's the question we put to our people that we interviewed for this study. Everybody that we talked to, the first thing they want to talk about is challenges. We face so many challenges. We got this, and that. And when we came back and put it all together, we could put their individual challenges into 3 different buckets: land, labor, profit. That's kind of how they all kind of coalesce. I'm sure this is a big surprise to everybody in this room. We have some population growth in Florida, and specifically here in Lee County. I think John Talmadge said this, in Lee County, if I'm saying this correct, if I'm not, please correct me, but we're at about 800,000 people now. In 4 to 5 years, we're going to be over 1 million. That's like 20, 30,000 people more coming into Lee County alone over the next 3 to 4 or 5 years. Those folks need a place to live. If they're coming with families, as more and more of them are, those kids need a place to go to school. More and more people are coming that are not yet retired. They need a place to work. They all need a place to shop. And everybody needs a place to play. Whether it's on a golf course or a pickleball court, they need a place to recreate. All that land is coming from agriculture. All that land is being pulled from existing agricultural land. Land that agricultural producers have already gone in, cleared the native vegetation, leveled the land, put in some infrastructure, drainage, some wells or whatever. So it's prime real estate development land that you have access to now that agriculture has provided. So that's the first thing. People are concerned, we're losing land. Where are we going to farm? How are we going to get more acres to farm? Well, it's not just real estate development. Since I've been here now going on 30 years, there's been an ongoing desire to pull more land and preserve it as conservation, to protect our ecosystems, natural resources. So there's been an ongoing desire to buy land, maybe fee simple, but also encourage landowners to sell their development rights. And right now, a major project, as maybe of you heard, there's a wildlife trail that's going up to Spina, Florida, starting in Naples, the Marco Island area. It's going up through the middle of Henry County, on up into the central part of the state. And a lot of encouragement is being given to those landowners to sell their development rights, get some cash up front, but that will limit the agricultural activity on that land. I'm not sure to what extent, but that's something to kind of keep in mind. And more recently, we've heard a buzz about solar farms. Now, when we did this study about 2.5 years ago, or more like a year and a half ago, we counted about 4,000 acres of solar farms across southwest Florida, including a few up in DeSoto County. 4,000 acres. Just recently meeting with the folks in Henry County, the property appraiser in Henry County, they said there's already 5,000 acres in Henry County that are already in solar farms or pending completion of solar farms in Henry County, and FP&L owns another 10,000 or so acres that they hope to put into solar farms sometime down the road. That's in Henry County. It's true in Collier, Glades, Charlotte, and to what extent in Lee County, I hope to find out, but we'll see. But clearly, people are concerned about land being pulled out of agriculture, and solar farms is one that, at least how they're building them now, not a whole lot of agricultural activity you can put on a solar farm. And I'm not sure how many houses you can build in between the panels, the rows of panels that you have out there, but I'm sure someone will figure that out. So you have this land that's being pulled out. The remaining land is going to become more expensive, if not to buy outright, certainly to rent. Labor was the second thing that people want to talk about. Where are we going to get our labor from? We need people to do the necessary things that need to be done for our major crops. Tomatoes, all the vegetables, tomatoes being the main one. Citrus, sugarcane to some extent, ornamental horticulture needs labor, and even I'll say the cattle industry needs a certain amount of labor to handle their daily or their cattle enterprise activities. Finding domestic workers, and let me be a little more specific, legal domestic workers is becoming a serious challenge. Even at $13 an hour minimum wage, soon to be $14 or $15, there aren't that many people that want to choose agriculture as a job. So what the industries have done, and not just in Southwest Florida, but across Florida, they've pivoted very strongly to the H-2A program. And I want to make, if you leave this room with nothing more than understanding this, the H-2A program is a legal mechanism to bring in workers for agriculture. Please understand that. It's legal. It's a legal system to do that. It's going to cost some money. It's going to cost serious dollars. $16 an hour is the minimum wage for a guest worker, plus all the expenses to provide housing, transportation, not only while they're in the country, but inbound and outbound when their contract period starts and ends. And we were told that adds up to another $4. So about $20 an hour agricultural employers are spending to keep this H-2A program going. It has solved their availability problem. Now farms have people that they can count on throughout their season. And then hopefully next year they can recruit the same workers back again. But the question becomes, is this sustainable? Is $20 an hour, and will be rising, as the minimum wage rises, so will the adverse effect wage rate, which is at AEWR, AWAR is what they call it. That's going to be rising as well. So is that a sustainable future? So there's that concern as well, not just for the availability, but for the cost. Rising land costs, rising labor costs, rising input costs, fertilizer, chemicals, all that stuff is going up tremendously. So there's a basic question of viability. Can farms stay profitable tomorrow, much less into the next 25 years? It's surprising to learn or to hear these folks talk very confidently about their abilities to manage their operations. Successful farms have figured out how to deal with bad markets, bad weather, the diseases that show up that they have to deal with on a regular basis. They figured out how to confront and solve those problems and still maintain a level of profitability. What they're more concerned about is forces outside of their control. They can control what they buy. They can control how they plant their crops. They can control, to some extent, their yields and understand how the science behind that. But what they can't control are things that are coming from outside their farm boundaries. That is, regulations and trade. Food safety is required by everybody. If you want to sell to Walmart, to Publix, to Cisco, they're going to insist on a third-party audit demonstrating that not only do you have a food safety program, but it's an effective food safety program. They're also going to ask, do you have an environmental compliance program? Are you, grower, adopting the best management practices that the state is prescribing? And do you, grower, are you treating your workers appropriately, as a third-party auditor would verify? So, yes, there are laws in place, but now you've got this added benefit, this added, I'll say cost, but added hammer, that now you have to have a third-party audit check you. And then you throw in trade. We had these discussions before the whole tariff situation. There is real concern about how the federal government has managed trade. This is going back many, many decades, not just recently, but it's an ongoing thing. NAFTA was, I guess, 1995, and that caused a lot of stir. And whatever became of it, or how it was transformed in 2018, I guess 16, still is leaving growers with a lot of concern. The concern is that, is there a fair and level playing field? Again, I was pleasantly surprised as we heard them talk. They aren't afraid of competition, whether it's coming from Mexico, tomatoes, or Peruvian asparagus, or Chilean blueberries. They're not afraid to compete. But what they don't understand and don't care for is the feeling that the playing field is not level. And by not level playing field, I mean when a grower in Mexico is paid a subsidy from his or her government that allows that farmer to sell tomatoes into the United States at below their production costs, that's called dumping. And that is hard to compete with. So that's the issue that I think our folks that we talk to want to see dealt with. Dumping. When you sell your product below the cost of production. Now, that doesn't mean that a farmer in Mexico or a Brazilian citrus grower has advantages that maybe we don't. Maybe they have better soil. Maybe they have better weather. Maybe they have cheaper labor or whatever. So all those are competitive advantages that are a part of the market system. But when you have these external forces, artificial forces, if you will, that sort of twist the playing field, that's when it becomes a problem. So after these interviews went about an hour, and we got dumped on in terms of challenges. But they were also very quick to say, we do have advantages that we think will sustain us for the next 25 years. We can grow stuff here in Florida and ship to our brothers and sisters in upstate New York, Wisconsin, and Michigan, so they can have their tomatoes on their hamburger buns or whatever. So we've got that advantage, and we'll keep that advantage. We also have a very other significant issue, and that's our research infrastructure. We have 2 land-grant universities in the state of Florida. University of Florida, and yes, I was a part of you all for 22 years, so go Gators a little bit. But the Florida Agricultural Mechanical University in Tallahassee is another land-grant university. These 2 together help growers figure out how to produce the next crops or new crops and do it in a more efficient manner. Now, I'm going to throw up a third school because I hope we can generate some activity. I see my dean, Chris Wesley, back there, so I want to make sure that we hope we can evolve. We're an eaglet right now, but hopefully we can evolve, at least in the business aspect of agriculture, to provide some support in this whole area. You know, I remember we're talking about the 1,000 people a day coming in, and our agricultural people are going nuts because, it's taking our land. We flip that around. That's 1,000 people a day. That represents a new market for fruits and vegetables. So once they thought about it, I guess that is true if you're in that business. There's also new crops that are out there. We got blueberries and peaches that 20 years ago we never had because you couldn't grow those. But through research, we can now do that. A lot of talk was about, what can we do with abandoned warehouses and storefronts that aren't being used? Can we repurpose those for hydroponics or urban-style agriculture? With the advantage of being that, yes, there's a capital cost involved, a significant one, but you can grow more food per square foot in that space than you can under open ground conditions, and do it with less water and nutrients. So that's sort of the issue. We haven't now. From the Southwest Regional Planning Council, there's been an initiative of promoting food from Southwest Florida. So we hope that there might be some advantages here as well. So with this new technology from our land grants, we see heightened opportunities for our students at FSW, at Gulf Coast, University of Florida, and all the other institutions around that. There are new opportunities for people to be involved in agriculture. 10, 15 years ago, that was a toy. That one thing on the left called a drone, that was a toy. $1,500, you can go to Best Buy and check one out and fly it around and maybe get an aerial shot of your roof. But now we got growers that are fully implementing this technology into their production systems. That little guy with different kind of cameras, more expensive cameras, can fly over a 40-acre plot and pick up data that can then be downloaded through a computer deal that will tell another drone where and what to spray to control weeds, to control nutritional deficiencies, to hit an infestation. This is almost like science fiction, but it's real. It's happening today, and it will continue to happen and continue to accelerate. Add to that a whole bunch of crazy smart people that are thinking about robotics and being able to construct autonomously driven machinery across the field to do similar kinds of things, not just harvesting, but weeding and cultivating and nutritional things, whatever. So there's a video link there, and I'm sorry you can't play it, but that's really pretty cool to look at that. So all that data, the explosion, I guess the new revolution for agriculture is the data that they've been able to acquire. Well, we need people to process that data. You notice this lady is not wearing bib jeans and overalls. I'm sure her feet don't have manure on them, but she's doing something that's vital to the agricultural industry. She's taking that data, organizing it, analyzing it, and hopefully generating some useful information back to the grower about how he or she needs to better manage their operation. Then you add to that this crazy thing called AI, where you can extend the information that we're collecting and that we know into, again, more in-depth, advanced problem-solving strategies. Going back to what's on one side is a negative, could be a positive. We are generating a lot of new jobs related to agriculture through our regulatory process. If we want people out there, monitoring our food safety systems, they better know something about food. They better know something about what foodborne illness looks like and how to detect it. We hope that those folks enforcing our labor and environmental compliance laws, we hope that they're out there to facilitate compliance as opposed to being a hammer to pound them into submission. So again, we're hoping that we'll have those folks as well. And then the engineers that are producing the next round of technology, as well as enhancing our food supply chain with more efficient logistics. I'm wrapping up here pretty soon. We doing all right? Okay. Before I left the University of Florida, I was a part of a graduate students committee, and she was an agriculture engineer. So it shouldn't surprise you when she kind of summed up her conclusion. Not just an agriculture engineer, a student involved with machine learning, a previous way of saying AI, machine learning. And she said, I think the future of agriculture is going to be someone in Fargo, North Dakota, being able to manage his operation, his citrus operation in LaBelle, Florida. I about flipped out. I said, wait a minute, that's crazy thinking. Well, maybe not so much, but I will argue that we always need people. We always need a farmer. When I first started working at the University of Florida, an older gentleman said the most important input into a citrus operation, he's a citrus guy, but I'm sure you can translate that to vegetable, sugarcane, ornamental hort. The most important input a farmer can do or put into his operation are footprints. Going out there, looking at what's going on, being able to see what's going on, and combine the science that he or she knows with the art of how to grow a crop. And one thing that a person can do that AI cannot do is identify something new. Understand that there's something out there that they haven't seen before, that AI hasn't learned, and they have to figure this out. Now, these folks, while there'll be fewer, still need to be supported by a bunch of folks that are highly trained in these various activities. So there's lots of opportunity to do and have successful employment. The one other thing that I'll say is I think of future employment for agricultural people, and I credit Ron Hamill with leading this charge, is that agricultural folks have not been very good about telling their story. They need to be able to communicate. They need to be able to tell what they're doing, how they're doing it, why they're doing it, to facilitate constructive conversations among the rest of us who are not in the field. So the gap between those of us that eat and those of us that grow is widening. I think the number is like 1% of our population is actually involved in production agriculture. 100% of us eat, and that gap between how a farmer farms is widening. So we need some kind of communication, better communication to understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. So as issues come up, we can deal with them constructively. So yes, the footprint of agriculture is going down. There's no doubt about that. As to whether or not we'll keep an economic impact will depend upon whether it remains profitable, whether we have external forces that hopefully facilitate, supplement, complement, whatever, ongoing production activities, and that agriculture is able to secure a positive perception about what they're doing, why they're doing it, how they're doing it. One thing we can absolutely say, and this is sort of like the concluding comment that we learned from our study, absolutely can say that whoever's left in agriculture 25 years from now will be doing more, creating more food with less water, less nutrients, less labor, and less land. That's an absolute fact. That's up in, I think, Sarasota County. That's a strawberry harvester in the field now. Gary Wish Farms is pioneering that. It's an amazing piece of equipment. My not so unbiased opinion that yes, we're going to be in business 25 years from now, and I'd like to credit these are the companies that we talked to in our study. So I apologize for taking a little bit extra time,
You're fine. If you want to go ahead and have a seat, we will.
All right.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I asked Warren to grab a microphone. So do we have any questions? We'll take a couple.
Thank you so much for your presentation and for the work that you're doing. You mentioned that the agricultural footprint in Florida is shrinking, and a big part of that is land availability. How much research have you done into vertical farming, and is that a viable solution here in Florida?
How much research? I know the University of Florida has done a bit of that. I have a secret ambition that Florida Gulf Coast gets into something like that too, but I can't be careful. Don't talk about that. But yeah, I think there's some real value. Now it's all about economics. Can you grow enough lettuce to make a profit? But there are some positive things about that. I was told that to grow a head of lettuce in a greenhouse, like what you saw, takes 3 times less water than to do it on open ground. So these ideas of vertical farming might become more feasible as we have resource constraints and land constraints as well. So I think there's opportunity. Will we figure it out? We'll see.
Thank you. Kind of 2 questions. One, I'm curious, you talked about the food safety audits. I was curious if that's a regulation or is that driven by consumer sentiment? Or is it actually a regulation enforced by the state?
It is a regulation, federal regulation.
It's a federal, okay.
Federal regulation. But more importantly, it is driven by buyers of produce and meat products. To the extent that consumers are driving that, I think is true. Now ask me another question about who's paying for it.
I assume it's part of the product cost.
It is.
Yeah. And the next question, of course, FGCU is heavily into water quality with the water school, agribusiness. Are your programs working together to try to marry the idea of having good water quality and a strong agriculture economy at the same time?
I have a partner over here who needs to say something, and I think he's really good about talking about this.
Yeah, I think that was certainly one of the genesis for getting the Center for Agribusiness in place at the university. When Ben Hill Griffin gave the land and endowed 3 chairs within the College of Business, and then also Mike Martin came in and started the water school. Immediately, I felt that it's critically important for us to engage with the water school, and we have. We started a dialogue probably within the first couple months of the establishment of the center to start collaborating with the water school and Dr. Tolley. In fact, about a month ago, we had a major meeting with all of the top agricultural leaders in the state that put together the research on field crops from the University of Florida IFAS, from the Department of Agriculture, Office of Ag and Water Policy that does all the BMPs and redrafts they call the BMP manuals by crop, as well as the representatives from DEP that are doing the BMAPs and all the water quality research in the region. So we are collaborating. We started that discussion shortly after we established the center, and we're progressing pretty aggressively at this point.
Okay, we have time for one more question.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you so much for the presentation. There's reports, right, that the agricultural sector is one of the top sectors for adopting AI and robotics, as you shared. Locally, how is that being addressed with our local farmers? And does FGCU presently have some kind of an integrated curriculum that helps with AI and ag?
Oh, okay. Integrated curriculum between AI and ag. I would say not yet, no. We have professors in AI that are pursuing that, but have we gotten into the ag part yet? No. I can advertise for my former center. I mean, there's an AI scientist at the Immokalee Center, and of course, he's directly involved in ag and doing AI research. So I'll leave it at that. But I hope that we can certainly understand the business side of that.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask our presenters and Leisha also to come to the front table and hang out for some additional questions, but I do want to go ahead and move us forward on the meeting agenda. So do we have any voter member input?
Thank you, Warren. First, I'd like to thank John Talmadge for the shout-out for the SRMA. Related to the Horizon Foundation IAA upcoming awards, I'm proud to say that the SRMA will be spearheading the effort for the Manufacturer of the Year Award. And I know there's not a lot of manufacturers in the room today. However, all of you could nominate a deserving manufacturer at srma.net. So if you know of some good manufacturers, please nominate them. Thank you.
All right. Well, as always, we want to thank FSW for hosting us and providing this wonderful room and sound and visuals. And so thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's see here. Did that. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
We have a couple copies of our report and 15 copies and brochures. If you are interested in a hard copy, it's also available digitally. Please let us know.
All right. All right. We're adjourned. Please, if you have any questions, come up to the front. Thank you.
You want a full copy?